All right, so the big question on everybody's mind is, but Heather, what about the calories? This paper pencil journal sounds very interesting, and I could see how I would learn a lot about my habits and behaviors. But I know we've talked about we need to be in a calorie deficit. So, where do the calories play into that? And so, it's so fascinating as a coach to watch how people's minds like kind of spiral around this. Everyone gets really bunched up about the calories, like they have to hit this number. But yet, oftentimes, the very people who would benefit from doing the paper pencil journal are not even being consistent with the tracking of the calories. Like they track when things are going well and they stop when it's not. They don't want to track their binges. So, really, like the calories are kind of ironically useless, even though that's what our brain is fixated on. And your lower brain, by the way, is going to look for all the reasons you shouldn't do this because it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to push you outside of your comfort zone. If you have not watched my video series, How Thinking Leads to Eating, we talk all about the lower brain. This is really going to agitate it because you're doing things in a totally different way. One, you're making habits focused. Two, you're focusing on putting your quote unquote worst day scenario down on paper with all the problems, all the A/B choices, all the stuff. You're doing everything very differently, which is going to create a lot of feedback. But then the question it will throw at you is, but what about the calories? And what I have noticed is for many people, their lower brain will justify overeating, grazing, doing certain things with food under the guise of you have enough calories, or we'll fix the calories tomorrow, or oh no, you've overshot your calories, so now the day is shot. It's very fascinating how the same brain that suggests you do some of this stuff will then bring calories into the equation. So that all being said, it doesn't mean you can't get calories. It just means that in this 24 hours, that's not your focus. Because if it is, that's how your lower brain will come in and say, you could have that other cupcake over there, even though you didn't write it down to begin with, because we could skip this at dinner and we could make it work. And as a coach, one of the reasons that I got keyed into doing things differently is because I would have so many clients eating impulsively, doing things with food that were totally not helpful. And then they would rearrange their day of eating, their normal day of eating, to support these unhelpful habits. Like you would look at it on paper, oh, this person hit 1,800 calories a day, great. But it's full of mostly fun foods and candy from work. And then I find out they didn't really eat much real food. What they did is they deleted things and it creates a vicious cycle, quite honestly. So what I say to people is you do the paper pencil journal on Tuesday. You write your plan down in the morning, you check off, you star, you highlight, you do all that. The next day you would go in and you would journal the calories in your MyFitnessPal, Lose It, whatever app you're using, and you would get a calorie total. But Heather, the day is over. How can this possibly be helpful? Because what you will do is you put the calorie total on the top of your paper pencil journal for that day, and then you could become curious. Start to review what you see in your calories to say, oh, wow, that impulsive thing I ate the other day at work, it was like 500 calories. I didn't know that. You could go back and document that on that sheet of paper. And you can learn from your calories. You can start to notice patterns with your calories. And then what will happen over time is that will start to influence some of the decisions you're making with the pre-plan, the left side of your paper, first thing in the morning. So, and then you also still can get calorie averages. And honestly, quite honest, this is one of the first ways for many people they will ever get honest calorie documentation. So, because they will actually have 2 weeks worth of data that they can actually average out, and then they can look at their weight and say, okay, this is what I'm doing. But if somebody is always stopping and starting journaling, they don't journal negative things only when things are going well, and they don't put down these random grazing things that they do with food, they truly never had an honest depiction of calories anyway. But if you do the paper pencil journal for 14 days and you transcribe it into your food app the next day, for the very first time for a lot of people, this is how they can actually get some ideas as to where their calories are falling. So this is, to me, the most helpful way of doing things. And even if you just did it for 2 weeks, by doing the planning, by seeing what's going on, seeing your patterns of behavior, retroactively tracking calories, getting that information, you kind of get the best of both worlds. What are my habits? What are my problem areas? What are the things I need to plan for differently? Because obviously I'm not nailing it with all the planning. And then what were my calories for those 2 weeks? And what happened with my body weight? So you can kind of get a great overview of everything. All right, guys, I hope this helps about the biggest question. What about the calories? You have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.